Where is she? Activity, passivity, sun, moon, culture, nature, day, night, father, mother, head, heart, intelligible, palpable, logos, pathos, form, convex, step, advance, semen, progress, matter, concave, ground, where steps are taken, holding and dumping ground, man, woman, always the same metaphor. We follow it. It carries us, beneath all its figures, wherever discourse is organized. If we read or speak, the same thread or double braid is leading us throughout literature, philosophy, criticism, centuries of representation, and reflection. Thought has always worked through opposition. Speaking, writing, parole, écriture, high, low. Through dual hierarchical oppositions, superior, inferior, myths, legends, books, philosophical systems, everywhere where ordering intervenes, where a law organizes what is thinkable by oppositions, dual, irreconcilable, or sublatable, dialectical. And all these pairs of oppositions are couples. Does that mean something? Is the fact that logocentrism subjects thought, all concepts, codes, and values, to a binary system related to the couple, man-woman? Nature, history, nature, art, nature, mind, passion, action. Theory of culture, theory of society, symbolic systems in general, art, religion, family, language. It is all developed while bringing the same schemes to light, and the movement whereby each opposition is set up to make sense is the movement through which the couple is destroyed, a universal battlefield. Each time a war is let loose, death is always at work. Father-son relations of authority, privilege, force. The word-writing relations, opposition, conflict, sublation, return, master, slave, violence, repression. We see that victory always comes down to the same thing. Things get hierarchical. Organization by hierarchy makes all conceptual organization subject to man. Male privilege, shown in the opposition between activity and passivity, which he uses to sustain himself. Traditionally, the question of sexual difference is treated by coupling it with the opposition, activity, passivity. There are repercussions. Consulting the history of philosophy, since philosophical discourse both orders and reproduces all thought, one notices that it is marked by an absolute constant which orders values and which is precisely this opposition, activity, passivity. Moreover, woman is always associated with passivity in philosophy. Whenever it is a question of woman, when one examines kinship structures, when a family model is brought into play. In fact, as soon as the question of ontology raises its head, as soon as one asks oneself, what is it, as soon as there is intended meaning, intention, desire, authority, examine them and you are led right back to the Father. It is even possible not to notice that there is no place whatsoever for woman in the calculations. Ultimately, the world of being can function while precluding the mother. No need for a mother as long as there is some motherliness. And it is the father, then, who acts the part, who is the mother. Either woman is passive or she does not exist. What is left of her is unthinkable, unthought, which certainly means that she is not thought, that she does not enter into the oppositions, that she does not make a couple with the Father, who makes a couple with the Son. There is Mallarmé's tragic dream, that father's lamentation on the mystery of paternity, that wrenches from the poet the morning of mornings, the death of the cherished son. This dream of marriage between father and son, and there's no mother then. A man's dream when faced with death, which always threatens him differently than it threatens a woman. A union, a marriage splendid, and with life still in me, I shall use it for, so not mother then? And dreams of filiation, that is masculine, dreams of God the Father issuing from himself in his Son, and no mother then. She does not exist. She can not be, but there has to be something of her. He keeps then, of the woman on whom he is no longer dependent, only this space, always virginal, as matter to be subjected to the desire he wishes to impart. And if we consult literary history, it is the same story. It all comes back to man, to his torment, his desire to be at the origin. Back to the Father. There is an intrinsic connection between the philosophical and the literary, to the extent that it conveys meaning. Literature is under the command of the philosophical, and the phallocentric. Philosophy is constructed on the premise of woman's abasement, subordination of the feminine to the masculine order, which gives the appearance of being the condition for the machinery's functioning. Now it has become rather urgent to question this solidarity between logocentrism and phallocentrism, bringing to light the fate dealt to woman, her burial, to threaten the stability of the masculine structure that passed itself off as eternal natural, by conjuring up from femininity the reflections and hypotheses that are necessarily ruinous for the stronghold still in possession of authority. What would happen to logocentrism, to the great philosophical systems, to the order of the world in general, if the rock upon which they founded this church should crumble? If some fine day it suddenly came out that the logocentric plan had always, inadmissibly, been to create a foundation for, to found and fund phallocentrism, to guarantee the masculine order a rationale equal to history itself. So all the history, all the stories would be there to retell differently. The future would be incalculable. The historic forces would and will change hands and change body. Another thought, which is yet unthinkable, will transform the functioning of all society. We are living in an age where the conceptual foundation of an ancient culture is in the process of being undermined by millions of a species of mole, topoi, ground mines, never known before. When they wake up from among the dead, from among words, from among laws, once upon a time. One cannot yet say of the following history, it's just a story. It's a tale still true today. Most women who have awakened remember having slept, having been put to sleep. Once upon a time, once and once again. Beauties sleep in their woods, waiting for princes to come and wake them up. In their beds, in their glass coffins, in their childhood forests like dead women. Beautiful but passive, hence desirable. All mystery emanates from them. It is men who like to play dolls, as we have known since Pygmalion. Their old dream to be God the mother. The best mother, the second mother, the one who gives the second birth. She sleeps. She is intact, eternal, absolutely powerless. He has no doubt that she has been waiting for him forever. The secret of her beauty, kept for him, she has the perfection of something finished, or not begun. However, she is breathing, just enough life and not too much. Then he will kiss her, so that when she opens her eyes, she will see only him in place of everything, all him. This dream is so satisfying. Whose is it? What desire gets something out of it? He leans over her. Cut. The tale is finished. Curtain. Once awake, him or her, it would be an entirely different story. Then there would be two people, perhaps. You never know with women. And the voluptuous simplicity of the preliminaries would no longer take place. Harmony, desire, exploit, search, all these movements are preconditions of woman's arrival. Preconditions, more precisely, of her arising. She is lying down, he stands up. She arises, end of the dream. What follows is sociocultural. He makes her lots of babies. She spends her youth in labor, from bed to bed, until the age at which the thing isn't woman for him anymore. Bride bed, child bed, bed of death. Thus woman's trajectory is traced as she inscribes herself from bed to bed in Joyce's Ulysses. The voyage of Ulysses, with Bloom standing constantly at the helm as he navigates Dublin, walking, exploring. The voyage of Penelope, every woman. A bed of pain in which the mother is never done with dying. A hospital bed on which there is no end to Mrs. Purefoy's labour. The bed framing endless erotic daydreams, where Molly, wife and adulteress, voyages in her memories. She wanders, but lying down. In dream, ruminates, talks to herself. Woman's voyage as a body. As if she were destined, in the distribution established by men, separated from the world where cultural exchanges are made and kept in the wings of the social stage when it is a case of history, to be the non-social, non-political, non-human half of the living structure. On nature's side of this structure, of course, tirelessly listening to what goes on inside her belly, inside her house, in direct contact with her appetites, her affects. And whereas he takes, after a fashion, the risk and responsibility of being an agent, a bit of the public scene where transformations are played out, she represents indifference or resistance to this active tempo. She is the principle of consistency, always somehow the same, every day, and eternal. Manstream. I love her. Absent, hence desirable. A dependent nonentity, hence adorable. Because she isn't there, where she is. As long as she isn't where she is. How he looks at her then, when her eyes are closed, when he completely understands her, when he catches on and she is no more than the shape made for him, a body caught in his gaze. Or woman's dream. It's only a dream. I am sleeping. If I weren't asleep, he wouldn't look for me. He wouldn't cross his good lands and my bad lands to get to me. Above all, don't wake me up. What anguish. If I have to be entombed to attract him. And suppose he kiss me, how can I will this kiss? Am I willing? What does she want? To sleep, perchance to dream, to be loved in a dream, to be approached, touched, to almost come, jouir, but not to come, or else she would wake up. But she came in a dream, once upon a time. And once again upon a time, it is the same story repeating woman's destiny in love across the centuries with the cruel hoax of its plot. And each story, each myth says to her, there is no place for your desire in our affairs of state. Love is threshold business. For us men who are made to succeed, to climb the social ladder, temptation that encourages us, drives us, and feeds our ambitions is good. But carrying it out is dangerous. Desire must not disappear. You women represent the eternal threat, the anti-culture for us. We don't stay in your houses. We are not going to remain in your beds. We wander. Entice us, get us worked up. That is what we want from you. Don't make us stretch out, soft and feminine, without a care for time or money. Your kind of love is death for us, a threshold affair. It's all in the suspense, in what will soon be, always deferred. On the other side is the fall, enslavement for the one and for the other, domestication, confinement in family and in social function. By dint of reading this story that ends well, she learns the paths that take her to the loss that is her fate. Turn around and he's gone. A kiss and he goes. His desire, fragile and kept alive by lack, is maintained by absence. Man pursues. As if he couldn't have what he has. Where is she? Where is woman in all the spaces he surveys, in all the scenes he stages within the literary enclosure? We know the answers, and there are plenty. She is in the shadow. In the shadow he throws on her, the shadow she is. Night to his day, that has forever been the fantasy. Black to his white, shut out of his system's space. She is the repress that ensures the system's functioning. kept at a distance so that he can enjoy the ambiguous advantages of the distance, so that she, who is distance and postponement, will keep alive the enigma, the dangerous delight of seduction, in suspense, in the role of eloper. She is Hélène, somehow, outside. But she cannot appropriate this outside. It is rare that she even wants it. It is his outside. Outside on the condition that it not be entirely outside, the unfamiliar stranger that would escape him. So she stays inside a domesticated outside. Eloper, carried away with herself, and carried off from herself. Not only is she the portion of strangeness, inside his universe where she revives his restlessness and desire. Within his economy, she is the strangeness he likes to appropriate. Moreover, the dark continent trick has been pulled on her. She has been kept at a distance from herself. She has been made to see, equals not see, woman on the basis of what man wants to see of her, which is to say, almost nothing. She has been forbidden the possibility of the proud inscription above the door, marking the threshold of the gay science. She could never have exclaimed, "The house I live in is my own. I never copied anyone." She has not been able to live in her own house, her own body. She has been incarcerated, slowed down appallingly, and tricked into apartheid for too long a time, but still only for a time. One can teach her, as soon as she begins to speak, at the same time as she is taught her name, that hers is the dark region, because you are Africa, you are black. Your continent is dark. Dark is dangerous. You can't see anything in the dark. You are afraid. Don't move. You might fall. Above all, don't go into the forest. And we have internalized this fear of the dark. Women haven't had eyes for themselves. They haven't gone exploring in their house. Their sex still frightens them. Their bodies, which they haven't dared enjoy, have been colonized. Woman is disgusted by woman and fears her. They have committed the greatest crime against women. Insidiously and violently, they have led them to hate women, to be their own enemies, to mobilize their immense power against themselves, to do the male's dirty work. They have committed an anti-narcissism in her, a narcissism that only loves itself if it makes itself loved for what is lacking. They have created the loathsome logic of anti-love. The dark continent is neither dark nor unexplorable. It is still unexplored only because we have been made to believe that it was too dark to be explored, because they want to make us believe that what interests us is the white continent, with its monuments to lack. And we believed. We have been frozen in our place between two terrifying myths, between the Medusa and the abyss. It would be enough to make half the world break out laughing if it were not still going on. For the fallow logocentric Aufhebung is there, and it is militant, the reproducer of old schemes anchored in the dogma of castration. They haven't changed a thing. They have theorized their desire as reality. Let them tremble, those priests. We are going to show them our sexts. Too bad for them if they collapse on discovering that women aren't men, or that the mother doesn't have one. But doesn't this fear suit them fine? Wouldn't the worst thing be? Isn't the worst thing that, really, woman is not castrated? That all one has to do is not listen to the sirens, because the sirens were men, for history to change its sense, its direction. All you have to do to see the Medusa is look her in the face. And she isn't deadly. She is beautiful, and she laughs. They say there are two things that cannot be represented, death and the female sex. Because they need femininity to be associated with death. They get a hard-on when you scare their pants off. For their own sake, they need to be afraid of us. Look at the trembling Perseuses with their advance, armor-clad in apotropes as they back toward us. Pretty backs. There's not a minute to lose. Let's get out of here. They, the feminine ones, are coming back from far away, from forever, from outside. from the heaths where witches stay alive, from underneath, from the near side of culture, from their childhoods, which men have so much trouble making women forget, and which they condemn to the in-pace. Walled in those little girls with their bad-mannered bodies, preserved, safe from themselves and intact, on ice, frigified. But the signs of unrest down there. How hard the sex cops have to work, always having to start over, to block women's threatening return. So many forces have been deployed on both sides that the struggle has been stuck for centuries, balanced in a shaky standstill. We, coming early to culture, repressed and choked by it, our beautiful mouths stopped up with gags, pollen, and short breaths. We, the labyrinths, we, the ladders, we, the trampled spaces, the stolen and the flights. We are black, and we are beautiful.